Welcome in, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Brad Petovich here with your live weather impact here for Tuesday, January 6, 2026. So 6/26, here we are. It is crazy to think we're already 6 days into the year. Doesn't feel like January, right? It's been super warm. Today was a warm day in the mid-60s. We're going to be in the 70s tomorrow. But I want to talk about something tonight. If you want to go outside and check it out right now, we're going to start with our tower cam. And right in the middle of your screen, that is not a speck that you see on your screen. That is actually that bright looking star. That is actually the planet Jupiter. Why am I talking about Jupiter? It is very bright. This is the brightest and biggest it will be throughout the entire year here on Earth, because it's in opposition. You can see it from our Monroe camera as well, a little bit clearer there. What does opposition mean? It basically means we're between the sun and Jupiter is at its closest approach to the Earth in its orbit and our orbit. So kind of things all line up here. So this is about as bright and as big as it's going to be. It's always pretty bright, but it's really bright, and it's a large planet. If you have a telescope or binoculars or even a good camera, zoom in on that thing, focus it really good, take a picture, and then crop it. You can actually see some of the Galilean moons. I'm actually probably going to take my telescope out tonight and take a sneak peek and see what kind of, even the camera. I always get better shots of the camera actually with some of those images. Now, the good news, we got clear skies to see Jupiter tonight, and if you spent any time outside today, you know how warm it is, but you think it's warm today, wait till tomorrow. I should have skipped over tonight's temperature because it's kind of key, because tonight we're only going to drop down to maybe 50, 52, which, by the way, is the normal high for this time of year. So if you're starting at the normal high in the morning, it's not going to take much to blowtorch up into the mid-70s. And again, super warm. It's not unheard of to have 70 in January, but it is honestly pretty rare. On average, we would do this maybe once every January, so that's the average since 1878. We haven't had 2 days above 70 in January since 2022, which is 3 years ago now, plus, and we haven't had more than 2 days since 2017, which ironically is the last time the Panthers were in the playoffs. So maybe there's something to that. Now, why is it so warm? Just like we saw around Christmas time, gigantic heat dome. This would be like the heat domes we see in the summer, but when you get them in the winter, it's not crazy hot, near 90, but it is near 70, which ironically is pretty close to the normal, for early April, maybe early October, not early January. On average, we should be in the low 50s. And look at this temperature forecast this week. This is really going to be the story. The record's 77 tomorrow. It's definitely possible, but I think we're probably going to be just shy. A little bit cooler on Thursday with a kind of a backdoor front, and I say cooler just relatively because it's still going to be 69 or 70. Friday, we're back in the low to mid 70s. Both Friday and Saturday, the record highs are like 74 and 73. So those are both a little bit more doable. But Saturday, the only reason we're not warmer is because we're likely going to have showers around. Speaking of that, when it's this warm this time of year and we get a cold front, you know what that means? Severe weather. We've got a risk of severe storms in the middle of the country, both Wednesday and Thursday, and eventually that shifts to the east on Friday. So naturally, people would say, uh-oh, are we going to see severe weather? Right now, I don't expect to see severe weather, but I will say this. I do think we could have some thunderstorms, maybe a rumble of thunder on Friday night, Saturday, depending on the timing of this front. Right now, it looks like the front gets here sometime early to mid-afternoon. It is slowing down just a hint from yesterday, if you remember Tim and I talking about this, because Saturday's key. That's the Panthers' home game, right? So we know we're probably going to have rain at some point during the start of this game, possibly the whole game. But what you might not be prepared for is a lightning delay. Now, who would have thought that in early January? We got a playoff game in January. And I looked back, because we played the Rams back on November 30th. It was 47 degrees and drizzly. And right now, the forecast for Saturday is 70 degrees with thunderstorms possible. So go figure there. That is a wild difference. But I think most folks, especially Panther fans, probably want the rain because they think it's going to slow down the Rams' offense. We'll see if that actually happens. But I think it can make it a sloppy game, maybe even the field a little bit. Certainly something we'll keep an eye on. Now, just like I mentioned yesterday, it's still pretty early. It's only Tuesday. Rain timing is the most fickle thing to forecast at distance or time. So while we do have rain in the forecast for Saturday, stay tuned. The timing could fluctuate quite a bit between now and then because that front speeding up or slowing down could have some significant impacts on what we see on Saturday. But this week, before we get to that, we got to get through all this warm air. The reason we have the chance of storms are because we're going to get October-like or April-like. They're very similar climatologically, weather. And then going into the end of the weekend next week, temperatures kind of more January, December-ish, 50s, which are at least closer to average. It's certainly not Arctic air. I know a lot of people are talking about a big blast of cold air. I just don't see it right now. And when we look at the 6 to 10 day, still looks pretty mild here in the southeast. I think if anything, it's just back to average temperatures. But if you look long range, and again, I probably should change it. The averages are now 52 and 32. The gray is near average. So just near average is a cold blast. And when you're in the 70s, average is going to feel pretty cold because that's 20 degrees cooler than what we're going to see this week. So while it might feel like it's not going to be that cool, it is going to feel cool in comparison to the 70s. So let's look ahead to the weekend. I know it's Tuesday. It's never too early to look at the weekend. 70 on Saturday. Again, 50% chance of scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. Didn't think I'd be saying that in early January. And I know the wives' tale. It's not true. Thunder in the winter does not mean snow within 10 days. We can show you the data. It just means a pattern change. Rarely do we get snow within 10 days of thunder. It happens like 3% of the time. But your Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast will show you pretty warm here the next 4 days through that Panthers game. That front comes through on sometime on Saturday, maybe during the Panthers game. That's why we're worried about the chance for lightning. And then cooler Sunday. And then next week, we'll show you the 10-day forecast. You can see temperatures. Yeah, it's colder, but not crazy cold. In fact, it's pretty close to average. 52 and 32 are those averages right now. Monday will probably be the coldest. We'll probably see a couple nights back below freezing, which is something we haven't seen in quite some time. So coming up in 2 minutes, we're going to talk about snow, not so much here, but what happened 30 years ago in the Northeast, the Great Lakes, Hawaii, and then we'll talk about maybe the Panthers game. Stick around.